Now, an important aspect of your trading is understanding how the broad market can impact your individual positions. So in this video, I'm going to break down some step-by-step thinking to guide you through sizing up what the broad market is doing and help that guide your trading decision. The market has made a push. Okay, we obviously had really nice strong week. This was a screenshot as of this morning, right? So Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. Here's this week. Some of that momentum is slowed, but we're still kind of clawing higher. And then these last 5 trading days of last week, horrible box right there. But what a surge, right? What a surge last week. The market just made a really nice push. So we had this 2-week stretch where we dropped. So for this indicator, it showed a lot of extended to the downside. We've been dropping for a couple of months. We saw 2 weeks straight of a push. This indicator was really stretched. And then we see this really strong rip reversal back to the upside within 10 days. So this thing triggered.
There's the indicator right there, Mike. That big down,
right,
that was when Preston left.
Here.
That's when he left. And then when he came back, it turned and went right back up.
That's right.
100%.
Preston left, Preston returned. So especially if it's an international trip for him, I think it's even more extreme. No, just kidding. All right, so technically, what am I looking at? So I threw these trend lines on the chart. Okay, so we had lower lows, okay, lower lows, lower highs, right? This thing was marching down. And then we had on Friday, we punched through it, didn't we? We punched through that upper trend line. That gives me a little more excitement, energy that this thing might be trying to finally buck this correction, this pullback that the whole market's been experiencing since back in here, end of July, beginning of August. All right, what else am I looking for? Okay, what else am I looking for? Well, I want to see this take out that previous high. Okay, let me draw that on the screen right here. Okay, we came right up to it and we're stalling a little bit, right? It hit that level on Tuesday, kind of hit it yesterday. On Wednesday, we hit it there. And after the strong move we've had, I don't expect this thing to really punch through it on this move. What I would think is more likely to happen is we get a couple days of some pullback or a little more consolidation, and then we get another move, another push, whether that's over a few days or whatever it might be, that punches through that line right here that I just drew on the screen. And now technically we've seen that higher high. At that point, we would have had a higher low. In short term, technically we'd be back in an uptrend. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. We're also right here up against a 100-day moving average. I want to see it clear that. Okay, so we're right here at a few of these different technical levels. We took out one of them. We took out that trend line. Check. We've got the Zweig indicator. That's another little maybe like half check, gets me a little more bullish and excited. If we can set a higher high, if we can set a higher low, if we can take out that 100-day moving average, hey, I'm liking it. Every time one of these little bullish indicators can flash or one of these bullish technical levels work in our favor, it just gets me feeling a little more bullish. Okay, anything you'd add to that, Lee? Maybe, maybe not.
Oh, sorry, I lost my microphone. I was clicking on it because I'm looking at it, and I've clicked on FinViz because, you know, me and Stella like to look at our FinViz stuff, and yeah. I've been taking screenshots of the FinViz every day, and I'm noticing that advancing declining on there, and then the above the 50-day moving average is constantly moving up. So as
So
it's
there's
going
more
up,
support. We're seeing more of that trend. So another important thing, I almost forgot to mention this, but we've talked about this a lot. I want to see some volume behind the move. So I just kind of drew a line back here. This is probably about average volume, you know, give or take. Maybe that line's a little lower than it should be, but you can see there's some of these days below this line, you know, some of these days a little above that line, that volume line. So if that's kind of our average volume-ish, what did we see on a couple of these bullish days in here? We saw at least a few of these days with some above average volume. Now this is the S&P 500. It's rare where you're going to see some really big, you know, tall candles like that. They're going to come, of course, but just that little increase, that to me gives me just another little check, right? So we took out this level, check. Little bit of volume behind it, check. Martin Zweig, check. If we take out this level right here, check. If we take out the 100-day moving average, check. We're just starting to build more and more of a case that this thing is pulling out of the correction. And that's what I'm looking for. So do I wish I would have just loaded up long positions and shoved everything into the middle of the table right there? Absolutely. But how many people did that? Very few. And if they tell you they timed it perfectly, they're lying to you. Maybe they got lucky on a little position or two or something that they took a flyer on. But the likelihood of timing that perfectly is going to be very, very, very small. That's not the goal. The goal is, okay, if this thing pulls back and we can catch this next wave right here, you know, maybe we see a nice Santa Claus rally and maybe it only goes to here through the rest of the year, but we can still catch. We get some money press trades going. We get a few long directional bull call matadors going. We can still cash in this last month and a half of the year, and we catch a nice little surge like that. And sometimes that can make your whole year come together, catching 6 great weeks. Okay, so we want to be ready for it. Okay, we're starting to see the case being built, right? You'll start seeing Preston, those of you that follow him on the insider, he's going to start probably adding a few more positions. He threw one on yesterday, right? We're starting to feel that sentiment turn, and that's when we start to turn that dial. Okay, and we'll talk about how all that ties in to your trading plan here when we jump into that discussion. All right, so let's zoom out a little bit. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit because short term, we're rip roaring higher. Right? That's our short-term outlook. This thing has been surging. Midterm outlook, the last 2-3 months, we've been in a correction, right? We've been in a market correction. We've been pulling back. Okay, so I'm looking to see, are we going to break out, snap out of that? And then when we zoom out one step further, right? Let me clear off the scribbles here. And let's jump to the next slide. Here's our weekly chart. We're looking at the last couple of years. Every candle is a week. Okay. We've been on this trend and we're just seeing that pullback. This is why I love zooming out and looking at a weekly chart, because what I didn't realize was this bottom right here where we turned and reversed was a previous resistance level, right? You could draw a line through that. Found some support there, a little resistance there, a little support there, resistance there, right? That line right there was not a predictable reversal level, but that's something where you see that reverse and you're like, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a level on the S&P that it makes sense. This thing found a little bit of support. Okay, so you can see when we zoom back from out of this, we're like, okay, what's it been doing over the last year? We've had a nice bull run, but we've just been in this pullback. We've been in that correction. And the other thing I love seeing with this weekly chart was look at that bullish engulfing candle right there, right? That thing, we covered a lot of ground in that 1 week. It almost made up for two. I know it's getting screwed. Let me clear this off. But it made up for almost 2 weeks of some pretty good drop. We recouped almost all that ground in 1 week. Okay, so pretty bullish candlestick, right? If you're looking at technicals, candlestick pattern, that right there, whew, that's pretty bullish indicator. Check. One more thing that I like to see, we found support at a decent, right, support level, previous resistance level. That's another little check in my book. All right, so we start looking at all these things and we're thinking, okay, you know, are we setting up for that Santa Claus rally? Are we finally pulling out of this thing? You know, historically, October and November, that kind of starts, November starts usually the best 6 months of the market performance. November, December, January, February, March, that's kind of the traditionally, historically, that's when we see the market perform pretty well. So we want to be there. We want to be ready to take advantage of that.